Welcome to the Six Again podcast, your new destination for all things NRL. Here to bring you everything from team news to best bets are your hosts Adam Hoy and Jared Newton. Let's kick off.
All right, guys, welcome into the Six Again podcast, the show where we talk about nothing but the Broncos.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty heavily highlighted, considering they're trying to single-handedly ruin rugby league for the rest of the class right now.
Wow, way to stick a boot in there, Jared. And by the way, before you actually all tune out, we do actually talk about all the other teams. It's just between the Broncos and Warriors, they've kept us pretty busy this year. I'm Adam. The other one was Jared. Always introduce him, not on purpose, but generally when he's either laughing or drinking or walking out of the room. We're a couple of mates who talk about rugby league. We're up to episode 46 or so. Same as what we do on a Wednesday night show.
This is a Wednesday night show?
It is a Wednesday night show.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
As in, you'll hear it Thursday morning. We will cover all the team lists, the most updated squads for the round, and then also all the off-field news, signings, and we'll do some tips, best bets that we found, and that's pretty much about it. So we're going to kick off this week with news out of the Warriors. And we touched on the signing of Nathan Brown and Gus Gould as coach and consultant on the weekend episode. And updated news concerns two of their star players. Jared, you want to give us the lead in on this one?
Yeah, so... And we're going to start off by saying that we don't blame Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for this, but it's come out today that if Warriors are based in Australia next year, he will look at switching to an New Zealand-based rugby union club. Because, as discussed a couple of weeks ago, I think, he's the only NRL player, only Warriors player in the squad that doesn't have his family with him. They're all back in New Zealand, and Todd Payton said it really well, saying he's really doing well as a leader of the squad, but you can tell he's struggling with it, which, as we've also discussed, you can't blame him for it without a family. Tohu Harris is considering the same thing. Nathan Brown's got a job on his hands. He just signed Ewan Aiken and Caden Evans, but he loses RTS. That's like 90% of Warriors' attack gone.
Yeah.
So, Warriors have already sounded out Redcliffe Dolphins as a potential base for next year, which is all well and good. It's great. They're planning ahead because no one knows what's going to happen next year as far as coronavirus. But it looks like if the Warriors aren't based in New Zealand next year, they're going to lose RTS.
Yeah, and we'll put an asterisk on that. So none of this is confirmed. And one of the Fox Sports reporters has reached out to Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's manager and asked whether the rumours were true, especially coming out of the Auckland Blues Super Rugby team, who, when Tuivasa-Sheck switched from the Roosters to the Warriors, were in play for his signature, obviously with the promises of chance to be in the All Blacks, etc., etc. He chose to sign with the Warriors. Now, this is still... What can we consider confirmed? Nothing. What could we consider as a strong or a likelihood at least that, yeah, if the Warriors are forced to stay in Australia or be based in Australia next year, Tuivasa-Sheck more than likely will not be part of the squad. Obviously, still want to keep up match fitness. If he's going to do that via rugby union, there's no details as yet, obviously, whether that would be a one-year thing and you come back to rugby league or whether it's going to be the end of Tuivasa-Sheck that we've seen in the NRL. It's still very much early, but it is still worrying to hear that because he's the face of their club, especially since Sean Johnson's departure. And yeah, like Jared said, pretty much everything runs through him.
I'm not... Look, it is worrying for him, but if anyone went to Union for any other reason, I'd be like, oh, whatever, that kind of sucks for you. But for this reason, I think it's completely justified. And Warriors, if they treat it well, he should come back.
Yeah, that's what
If
I'd say.
they treat him badly, which I think they should be shot out of a cannon if they do, because he's literally been hanging that team on his shoulders for the last however long he's been there, with no complaints, no issues, being their captain. Last year I think he averaged over 200 metres per game. Always put in a good effort. Yeah. So, look, it all comes to what happens with coronavirus and how Warriors handle this. Because if they fuck this up, that he won't come back.
No. I'd even like to see if there'd be some sort of fund, if there's any funds left, that would at least aid the Warriors in paying him his normal contract, literally not to play a year, so he's still there the year after. That would be kind of, I could see this as an extenuating circumstance. The reason why we mentioned the Cliff team is earlier in the year, they signed off on a deal to be the Warriors feeder club. Very big rugby league, very strong rugby league district in southeast Queensland. One of the 4 constituents of putting the second Brisbane team is in the Redcliffe area, playing out of Redcliffe Dolphin Park. So,
a few teams are starting to realise that. There's a few teams starting to realise that's a bit of a haven for decent rugby league players and starting to jump on that. That's the second team this year who's jumped on a southeast Queensland feeder club.
Yeah.
So it's good news to hear, because that means there's a bit of more of a pathway for Queensland juniors coming through.
And we'll touch on the Ewan Aitken and Kane Evans signings when we get to our signing section, but both are pretty handy pickups there for the Warriors side. So a bit of an up and down week for them. But in saying the year that they've had, they're playing a hell of a lot better than some of the other teams with much for excuses. Yeah. And we're going to get on to...
A lot of that comes down to Tuivasa-Sheck. Like, as a captain and a leader, he would be holding them together, literally. Like, he's always up front with his press interviews and stuff like that about what he's trying to do and this, that, and the other. Talking about the Warriors, I don't know if you heard about this. They actually brought someone else into their bubble last week. Did you hear about this? They brought They brought what's it called? An Alan Langer type, a fun and frivolity officer for the team.
No, that's not what I was thinking.
No, so they've got someone else in their bubble to help them. No, close. Finchy.
Oh, God.
They got Brett Finch to keep up our morale officer. They'd be having fun.
I used to play NRL. Don't doubt yourself. God, he used to play.
Yeah, have you watched that Monday Night Matty Johns clip where they bring in all the animals to it? So I was watching this last week before we got on the podcast.
Yeah.
But they asked him what Brett Finch's nickname was. And they reckon his nickname's called Miracle. And why he called Miracle? It's a miracle I have a job.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's been his nickname throughout his whole career, they reckon, because he bounces, but he's just that kind of guy. So him and James Maloney would be great together, I reckon. But yeah, so that's probably a big signing for the Warriors to keep everyone entertained.
I could see that. I just talking about Finch and just rung a bell. I read an article. Our episodes get posted on a online sports newspaper called Today's Tale, and they've got different sections of it. One of them's called Northern Beaches Tribune, and Steve Menzies wrote an article 3 weeks ago-ish about how I played the most important hand in New South Wales Origin history or something like that. It was all about Brett Finch's game-winning field goal for the Blues, and why Steve Menzies was actually the hero, and written by Steve Menzies. It was freaking hilarious, because if you don't remember that series, Brett Finch was called in at 11 p.m. the night before that game. He was a an emergency based on Craig Gower getting an injury. And that injury was from Steve Menzies taking out his knee at New South Wales Blues training. So saying, if he hadn't taken out Gower, Brett Finch wouldn't have come in. And supposedly during the celebration after the game, Menzies is like something about, I did this, you owe me one, Finchy, or something like this. So it's like, if he had taken out Gower's knee, Finch would never have been there. So, such a funny article written about how he's the hero, not Finch. It's brilliant. That just reminded me of that. But going on to a team that's played worse than the Warriors, but in fairness have had... I'm not going to compare what the Broncos have been going through to the Warriors because they're different, but
you can't.
Many...
Because
you can't, but
what?
For another club with more... what's the word? Distractions and off-field dramas, on-field dramas, coaching, CEO, behaviour.
So
I don't remember
what you said.
Many of these stories in a season.
Yeah. So what you said actually kind of annoyed me because I know you didn't compare those two clubs together because you backtrack on it a little bit, but no, you said compare it to distractions kind of thing. Like you did
distraction,
separate it,
not the topics.
But I've read articles where they have been compared to Warriors and Broncos.
No.
Warriors, everything they're going through is not their fault.
No, that's the thing. It's
everything the Broncos are going through.
It's been their fault.
So, like right now, throughout this whole season, if anyone had no reason to complain, it was the Broncos. They have the best setup.
Yep.
They have a whole city to themselves.
Yeah.
They have millions of dollars to keep the players entertained and this, that, and the other. Queensland's had the best infection rate coronavirus out of the 4 states that NRL gets played in. And there's literally no reason for the Broncos to have all the drama they've had. And they still have been acting. Oh, Adam's about to tell you what's been going on in the last, 4 hours. So, yeah. Adam, you want to go? And
I really like how you cleared that up, Jared. Yeah, when I said the only other club, I said Broncos and Warriors have given us everything to talk about this year, but for completely different reasons. Like, I went and watched I went and watched my high school's rugby games this year. It's the first year in 5 years I haven't been coaching because of my kids. They're old enough to understand that I'm not home some nights. Now, it was hard enough just like going down and leaving my daughter at home because I hadn't seen her all day and she wanted to give me hugs and we had hugs, but I wanted to take my son down to rugby. It was freaking hard enough leaving her for 5 hours, let alone what the Warriors are going through. So 100%. Broncos, on the other hand, I can still say I don't remember a club having this many varied negative on and off field dramas in one season. It's
ridiculous.
And when you break it down and you look at it, COVID versus non-COVID, we're going to talk about Pangai tonight. Half of his story, well, the story at the moment is COVID, but the other half is the fact that he can't keep his head on his shoulders on the field, the amount of time he's missed on the field. And then the Alan Langer sort of stuff and the other coaches. Outside of that, pretty much everything else has been within the club, signings, form, infighting, all that sort of stuff. It's had nothing to even do with COVID. They're literally pouring fuel on their own fire continuously.
No. It's not even their own fire. It's everyone's.
Outside of the COVID stuff, like just definitely their club stuff.
I just want to say, for the COVID side of stuff, they are risking livelihoods of thousands of people who get their money through rugby league because the NRL got permission to play, which anyone's listened to this podcast, I never agreed with in the first place because I don't think they should have been playing, but they did. And for the first however long, everything was running along fine. You compare that to AFL right now, who, you know, they've had infighting since they started. They started later than us. You compare what's going on in the English Super League right now with 6 Hull players getting positive for coronavirus. And then with what the Broncos are doing as far as coronavirus, if the government deems that the NRL is not fulfilling their promise to rein in these players and officials,
which
they'll just cut them.
Anastasia Palaszczuk came out and said either today or yesterday that the NRL's on its last chance if they can't tighten up their player behaviour.
And, like, you got Wayne Bennett. I know you guys talked about this the other day. I wasn't on the podcast the other night. I was actually in Harvey Bay on holiday. Yeah, it was really sunny and, you know, lovely.
Yeah,
but Wayne Bennett came out and said he didn't know the rules. Wayne Bennett was on Project Apollo. He made the rules.
Oh, we didn't even say that. Whoops.
Like, he actually made the rules for this, but he's saying he didn't know the rules. Like, these guys...
They were talking about the difference in what aspects or what parts of Sydney were under what restrictions.
It doesn't matter, mate. You don't... Like, the thing about it is, at the start of this season, the NRL Players Association were fighting tooth and nail to get, 60% of these players' contracts? Something like that. I can't remember the exact figure. They're fighting it, and, you know, they would know more of a... If we asked someone, they would know more. These players are risking their entire contracts and the entire, rugby league. They're risking the entire thing. We could go back to starting up local leagues only and without NRL, because if this gets cancelled, which, as you said, we're on our last chance. They said rugby league was done at the start of the year after a certain amount of time.
It's not a rich sport.
Yeah, how don't they? How aren't the players and everyone doing this who, you know, sneaking in back doors, which we'll get to, going to barbershops to present a fucking jersey? Like, does my head in. It really does my head in that these... And I understand it's hard and you got to stay indoors and this, that and the other. And
it's
you get
not
to see
that
people
hard.
walking down the street. Well, no, but they get to see people walking down the street that can't. But these people are literally paid to do this. Yeah. So if the players can't play, that's NRL gone. That's what they don't realise. The game can't continue without play. I know I'm ranting a bit here, but Jesus Christ, that's annoying me. That's my tangent for tonight. It's pissing me off.
Your tantrum or your tangent? Both. Yeah, so to no one's shock, NRL have come out and fined Tavita Pangai for his barbershop trip to give a jersey to a bunch of...
Oh, whoever they were. It doesn't matter who they were. You should have done it. Yeah. There's mail.
One, outside of the COVID thing, if you know that there's a barbershop and they're involved with bikies, probably not a great idea to show your face if you're a high-profile sports person. That's just dumb. Second thing, going there to support the opening of a barbershop and say something about a haircut, that's what you're there for. And then CCTV footage coming out showcasing that, no, you didn't get a haircut. And yes, you did bring a jersey to do a signed presentation of the opening, which wasn't brought up when you gave your statement to start with. Again, dumb. So the NRL's come out and fined him $30,000. And he's been stood down indefinitely. So even if the Broncos did want to play him, they wouldn't be able to. And it came out, Sunday night after we'd finished recording, that the Broncos were looking into whether, A, he brought the game, obviously did, Broncos obviously did, into disrepute. If that's the case, they have grounds to terminate his contract today, not pay him out a cent, And he'll go the rest of the season not playing a game for any other club. He can't go and sign because it's past the signing
Deadline.
date. So it's past the deadline. So he can't sign for another club to play for them. And the NRL stood him down indefinitely. So this idiot's brought it all upon himself right now. He's on 650 grand. So if he gets his contract ripped up, he's cost himself $2 million over the next 3 years.
Look, the thing about it is, which sucks, but it is what it is as far as star players. He'll pick a contract up tomorrow. I know for a fact that Adam O'Brien got asked this afternoon. He said he'd look into it because he's a Newcastle junior. Bulldogs have got the money to spare. Warriors have got the money to spare. And they'll get him cheaper than $650.
Oh, he'll be way cheaper.
He's an NRL standard player. He's probably elite level NRL for what he can do. He's got to find a coach who's going to go, mate, pull your head in a little bit. And clearly that's not happening at the Broncos for him. But with his contract torn up, you got to see, because me and Adam were talking about it, started a podcast, how does this affect the Broncos? Because they just lost Fafita. The closest thing they had to Fafita was Pangai. Now they're going to lose him. So other than Haas, who they use as a
battering,
how would you describe? Sorry,
a battering ram.
ram. Yeah. So their flair in their forward, this young great forward pack came from Pangai Junior and Fafita. Looks like they lost both of them.
The rest of pack's looking a lot weaker without those two in it.
Yeah. And if you told everyone at the start of the year that 2021 they wouldn't have Fafita or Pangai, like, you'd be questioning what's going on with the Broncos. Like,
and we're not saying Patrick Carrigan is a damn good player, but he's not a damaging forward. He's not an X-factor forward. Every club needs a Patrick Carrigan. Storm is a Patrick Carrigan.
But even Thomas Flegler, exact same mould. Who else have they got now?
Ethan Bullimore.
Yeah, well, he's gone to Canberra, supposedly. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, they've got these players, these forward pack players who are they're meter eaters. They're not going to create nothing out of something. Something out of nothing.
They can definitely create nothing out of something.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's what Pangai and Fafita brought. Now their biggest bloody surprise weapon is a 35-year-old named Ben Teo. Like, he's good, but he's not Pangai and Fafita good anymore.
So the kick, this wasn't done by us. This is done by other NRL clubs. But to kick the Broncos when they're down, the stories last week that he'd been shopping himself around. We know that he got with Trent Robinson down to his house in Sydney and all that sort of stuff. So naturally the media goes to the two most high-profile clubs outside of Brisbane, being Melbourne and the Roosters. Bellamy said, we have no interest in looking at him at this time. That's kind of like a thanks but no thanks. But then...
Have you got a direct quote?
Huh?
Have you got a direct... Yeah.
Yeah. So the Robinson one is... That was kind of the one that everyone thought maybe could happen. And so they've gone down to ask Trent Robinson, and he was very... What's the word we're going to say? Very forthright in his response.
Very fuck you.
Yeah, very, very... It's a pretty much... I think the media said a thinly veiled swipe at the Broncos. It's not. It's a freaking smack in the face. So they've asked Robinson. He said, no, he won't be at the Roosters. I don't know what's going on up there, but we've worked really hard, as you can see, for the type of player that we want, and he's not going to fit that mould.
Look, the thing about it is, this isn't like Michael Maguire or Justin Holbrook or anyone. This is the guy who's won the last two grand finals. He's backed up what he said, because you just have to look at his team. He brought in the Morris twins, who fit perfectly what he wants, and that's what's happened.
Team first.
Yeah, and he's just backed it up, which is, yeah, he has the points behind him to say something like that, which everyone's like, damn.
Do you know a player?
But no one's arguing with it.
Sydney, you know, a player who's down in Sydney right now that has the Davida Pangai skill set, bit older than him, but just as damaging, especially at his age.
Who?
Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah.
And he has not got any remarks like this from Trent Robinson. So I think this is a really strong sense of Trent Robinson as a person, as a reading of character for the people who said Sonny Bill's selfish and he does things for himself, etc., etc., etc. If this guy's willing to, I wouldn't say fly, well, he actually did fly Sonny Bill from the UK over here to go through quarantine, have a shot at playing 4 games for the Roosters. He knows what he's getting out of Sonny Bill, and then just to go with literally a player who's Sonny Bill 10 years earlier, that sort of style of play, impact, aggressive forward, offload, etc. You don't fit our mold. That's saying.
Do you know what?
That's not just saying something about Pangai. That's saying something about what the Broncos are.
Yeah, great. Oh no, it says a little bit about Pangai too. Like,
oh no, I said not just Pangai. It's...
Yeah, so I bet you if someone like you said, Pat Carrigan was in the same situation, he's better get at the lead the Broncos. Trent Robinson look at someone like Pat Carrigan, easy, every day of the week. Yeah, he's got that attitude. He's got that kind of.
I know this is clubs, like you said, Warriors would sign him tomorrow. Bulldogs, actually, I don't know, because they're trying to. I think they're trying to push him back into their family club direction. I don't know if they would. They may.
It depends if Trent Barrett can hold him in.
But there'll be a number of teams around who'd sign him up tomorrow.
Tell you what, this year's grand final, or final series, I really hope Penrith and Roosters come up against each other, because that means Sonny Bill versus Viliami kick-out.
Well, that's Sonny Bill's all set if he makes the team.
Oh, mate. That is like the epic encounter every day of the week. Sonny Bill, older, and then he's up against kick-out. He's like the most damaging second row on the comp. You know, Sonny Bill just shows him a few tricks.
I already said last week, it's still a 2-horse race for me, but they'll have to have someone in the semis. Moving on, so another Bronco story, surprise, surprise. It's come out that 10 players are in a pub, having beers, etc. after a game, or day after a game. And whether they were in... what's the word? Well, they were pushing COVID boundaries outside the bubble, all that sort of stuff. Now, they were seen there on the 1st of August, and it was reported to the police, and they've been working with the NRL Broncos since then. So it's pretty much come out that the Broncos versus West Tigers in Sydney on the 17th of July. So this is when Sydney were on higher restrictions than Queensland. So because they'd been to New South Wales, they had to go into a 14-day New South Wales or Sydney level bubble on arrival back in Queensland, which they did. 31st of July, 2 weeks, or 13 days, sorry. Sorry, that's 14 days. That's right on the fortnight. They versed the Sharks at Suncorp. So technically their 14 days was up. So on the 1st of August, after the 14-day period, they went and had drinks, beer, steak, lunch up in Everton Park. It sounds as though they were back within Queensland restrictions, which would enable them to do so. It's just going to be paperwork now between the NRL, the Broncos Integrity Unit, and obviously probably CCTV footage from the pub. So that was maybe like a good story for the Broncos, something that looked like it could have blown up as well, but still waiting on confirmation, but that seems to be the direction that it's going in. Unlike their second pub story. Wally and I talked about the fact that Alan Langer and 2 of the other coaching staff were seen at a pub on Caxton Street for a private function, Alan Langer's birthday, and we thought that was the end of it. They got a $5,000 fine each. They're in a 14-day quarantine, which they're still in. And yeah, that was the end of it.
Are you sure that's the end of it?
Until today.
So it's come out either today or yesterday that the police are investigating the establishment they were in. Dung, dung, dung. It was the Caxton Hotel. Where else did the Broncos go to get drunk?
Class.
So, supposedly the police are investigating, and this is supposedly / allegedly that the Caxton not only snuck Alan Langer in, which broke his bubble, but the health and with the two other guys. I can't remember who they were, what they did. They're rehab and something else. So snuck him in and also turned off ID scanners and cameras, which is illegal for a licensed establishment. So because of that, the Caxton could be facing fines, and Alan Langer could be looking at
to see what they're going to do with it.
Looking at more fines, because if it's true, and like I said, we don't know what happens, what he tells the integrity unit or whoever investigated it from the NRL's point of view, but he could be looking for a lot longer of sitting out because he has lied, obviously, to the integrity unit.
Yeah, and that's whether he lied or whether the entire truth wasn't...
Or he might not have known that they turned off the cameras, which I'm surprised, but that's a reasonable excuse on his part to go for it. The part that annoys me about it is, one, he's an assistant coach. Two, and I don't know if he does this at Broncos, but I know for a fact that at the Maroons camp, he's considered the morale officer. So, as well as coaching. So he's the one on the charge when they, have their drinking sessions, or he's the one who keeps everyone entertained and tries to boost the, camaraderie and closeness of every team. So right now, during this bubble, you think someone like that will be constantly thinking of ways to keep the team together. He'd be the one going, look, guys,
I know he brought two of the coaching staff with him.
No, but I know this is shit. We don't like this, all this kind of stuff, but as far as to keep the NRL going, we've got to do it. We're going to, play this party game tonight.
Yeah.
Which he should be the one leading that, and he should be the one knowing what he can't do and what he can do. And then he does this.
Yeah.
I
think the issue here is he would have probably known that he got snuck in through the back with the other two guys instead of going in through the front door. They're out of jurisdiction, as they shouldn't have been, and whether he straight out said a different story or whether he didn't actually explain that big because he didn't feel he had to, whatever it is, there's going to be more to come on that. Again, a not smart decision.
I'd like to refer everyone to my previous tantrum/tangent.
Yes.
Goes down to Alan Langer as well.
All right. Another story here. What club's this? Oh, this is about the Broncos. So we don't know a lot about this. We're not going to go into any specific details. On top of all this, obviously the coach of the Broncos, Anthony Seibold, is under a lot of pressure right now. He's been the target for a lot of
rumors,
insults. I'm just going to say just flat out insults, etc. on social media based on the Broncos' performances. But just over the last few days that we've known about anyway, he's had to call lawyers in based on some of the rumors and stories and accusations that are going around on social media. I believe that Ben Ikin referred to it as the social media cesspit that our society is living in, and the fact that these sort of things are made public without truth or anything was along the lines of Gus Gould's statement of calling it a disgrace. We don't know any of the specific details. We're not going to mention them or give them any airtime. But if you do see stuff in the media, that is what those sort of stories are about. Personal, pretty disgusting, aggressive sort of post about Seibold as a person, completely separate to what's going on at the Broncos with regards to their performances. So those sort of people, get a life, you cowards, and go find something else to do. If you feel as though there's an ounce of truth and you're ever listening to this, go about it with a bit more of a...
I'll stop telling everyone.
Approach. Yeah, do something a bit honourable with your life, maybe.
Yeah.
So the last, and I guess this is a positive, we don't know, he's never been in this position before. Ben Ikin has officially put in his application for the Broncos CEO position for next season moving forward. We haven't had any word or seen any other official word of any other applicants for the job. It's not pretty clear, but it seems clear as though Paul White will not look to renew his post. I guess good luck to Ben. He's going to need it. I don't know enough about the CEO world to really state whether he's going to be a success. And I don't really come from a club where it's along at Manly. So
look, my dad's always drummed into me that the famous Jack Gibson once said that a team won't succeed on the field unless their front of house is in order. So you look at the successful teams, Roosters, Melbourne, Penrith finally got their shit together. Parramatta looks like they finally got their shit together, and that's the top. You're not going to have a team that does well when their tops, got a really shit culture.
West Tigers over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, Bulldogs, they're starting to clean
Manly.
that out. Yeah, well, Manly for the last, how long you guys been around? Since 47? So, look, I don't know Ben Ikin's overall history in this kind of position.
I don't think he's ever been in one.
Yeah, so him jumping
in an NRL establishment.
Look, Broncos 10 years ago would have been a great job to jump into as a CEO. Broncos currently, you're wading into a cesspool.
We kind of can't get worse.
That's what we said 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So, he's going to have his work cut out for him from what we assume a rookie CEO. Hopefully he can do well. The thing about it is...
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting.
No, I know this is completely kind of irrelevant, but how long has he been hosting NRL 360? For 5 years it's been around?
Yeah. I disagree with a lot of his takes on there. That's why I'm a bit...
No, well, a lot... See, I actually brought this up to a few people because, I'm on holiday. I was at the pub for a while today. I was at talking about this at the pub today with a few people. It's very varied on Ben Ikin. So a lot of people agree with him and a lot of people don't. The thing that everyone does agree with, no one listens to Paul Kent or anyone else on that roster.
Yeah, that's true.
That goes.
That's the point.
So it'd be interesting how NRL 360 goes, and it'd be interesting how prepared they are to tee off and Ben Ikin, because for the last 5 years,
cool.
That show has had no problem with teeing off of anyone in the NRL.
Yeah.
Now the guy who's doing it, who will be in the spotlight of probably the most controversial time in the Broncos history, is the next host of there. So it's going to be like how open is he going to be there? This kind of stuff. He has been on the Cowboys board for the last however long.
Yeah, 7 seasons.
Just did to remember that. But yes, it'll be interesting because, like I just said, the NRL 360 has no issue with teeing off of anyone in the NRL.
I thought you were going to say, who's going to watch it if Ikin's not on there?
Oh, no. Well, no, another question, who's going to be on it? Who's going to be able to stop Paul Kent and Buzz Rothfield in there. So, because that's half Bennett's job. Oh, and I forgot that, James
Bennett,
Super.
Icons.
His son-in-law anyway. That's been half of Ben Ikin's job, is to stop Paul Kent when he goes on a rant, to stop James Super and Buzz Rothfield when they just go on with shit.
Matty Johns could do it.
Yeah, but no, he's not serious enough to do it.
That'd be so.
He's 100.
I would watch that though.
He would turn around and go, "Shut up!"
Cooper Cronk.
The problem with Cooper Cronk is
he's too smart.
And yeah, well that too. But what I see with Paul Kent and Buzz Rothfield, especially, not so much James Super, is they think they've been around for too long. They don't listen to anyone but themselves. It annoys me because
been around for too long.
Well, Buzz Rothfield's been around the NRL.
No, they don't think they've been around for too long. They still think they're current.
No, but that's my point. They think they've been around for so long. They don't listen to anyone else. I honestly don't think they respect Cooper Cronk's opinion for that reason. I really don't. I don't reckon they would.
Yeah, I don't know. But the other thing is they don't watch the show. People respect Cooper Cronk's opinion generally.
Yeah, but I don't. And I know
people say his take's mostly accurate.
Yeah, but I don't think Cooper Cronk would put himself in the middle of that.
No,
I really don't.
For that.
Yeah, so
I'm saying I would love to see him in there. I don't think he would take it.
Nah. I don't think he'd do it. I don't think Buzz and Paul Kent would let him because he's too logical. He sees the game way better. And another thing is, Paul Kent and Buzz Rothfield like dealing in the bullshit of rugby league, like the rumours and all that kind of stuff. Cooper Cronk doesn't like that stuff. He likes to play what happens on the field.
What about Tony Squires?
I don't know who
the
that
back
is.
Page.
Does he?
Would be great. That would be fantastic.
Nah, put Phil Gould in the middle and then backhand him a few times.
What about just Buzz Rothfield and Paul Kent and just let them be the two main hosts? Buzz cut.
There goes NRL 360 with that idea.
That's all
right there. It's gone. See you later. It's going to burn in flames because you can't have those two bloody vultures anywhere near it. They remind me of those vultures.
Get your fill with Buzz and Paul.
Yeah, no. But remind me of the vultures of bloody Jungle
Book. Yeah.
Yeah. Now don't start that again.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, no. I'm in the. I think some of Icon's takes are good, but I think he has aged considerably from playing days. I think what Cooper Cronk does is he's got a very good balance of safety and what the players need to be aware of and that sort of stuff and what rules need to be. But he's also, because he's so recently retired and he's been a thinker through his whole career, still understands today's game, where I think Icon's very quickly gone to the
media.
The media, so they're very, very much so jumps on the old boys, not the old boys, sorry, the
old guard.
Safety for his takes are outdated almost straight away in some of the things. That's what I'm worried about. But from CEO, they're looking at things completely differently. Well, I think
it'd be really interesting how that goes.
Yeah.
And
that's you go.
Well, it kind of annoys me as well because how do I put this? He's not getting along with his father-in-law right now. That's supposedly they're not getting along. It'd be interesting how that relationship will work because Bennett's a 6-time premiership winner at Broncos, right? He has to be involved in the club in some, they have to respect it. And right now, what's happening between the current...
They don't have to respect him right now.
No, my point is what's happening between the current and the old boys from all the rumours going around, which, you can't take too much stock into, but they're not getting along with previous hierarchies of the Broncos for the last 35 years or whatever it is. I hope Ben Ikin can put that all aside and start bringing in all that old stuff. And unfortunately, that includes Wayne Bennett because he's been a huge part of the Broncos for so long. You don't want that relationship soured. I don't believe. I know it is currently, but he's got to work on bringing it back. If you know what I mean. Not bringing him back as coach, but bringing him back as a figure. He's won 6 premierships for you.
Yeah, I could see that, but it's not going to be till at least the end of next season.
Which is, that's fair enough. But that's one of the things he's got to work on because despite the fact that Broncos have won 6 premierships in their 32 years because they came in 88. Yeah, 30 to 33, yeah. 32. So despite all that, they're still a young club. They've got a good history really quickly, but they're still a very young club.
Yeah.
You look at the Roosters, you look at the Rabbits, you look at, to a point, West Tigers, the old clubs. They put a lot of stock in their history. The first time, like, the old players at the Broncos, most of them are still alive. Like 98% of them would be still alive. From what's coming out with, for the chance to create that old boys culture at the Broncos, it's not happening right now for their short history. And they've got a chance to do it and it hasn't been happening from what I understand.
It's one of the wisest things you've ever said, Jared.
Are you taking a piss or are you actually serious?
I'm totally legit.
No, I
am.
Newcastle came in the same year, and every year they have their last home games Old Boys Day. It's a big deal. Paul Harrigan cries every year because he just, I don't know, he still wants to play. I'm pretty sure he sees Mark Carroll and starts a fight, but that's what Newcastle do every year. They have a lot of their history is not as big as the Broncos, but they still put a lot of stock in it. Broncos need to do that kind of stuff more and advertise it more as their Old Boys Day and bring everyone back.
I think a smart first step would be, targeting's the wrong word, but the more outspoken of the Broncos, your Steve Renouf, it's going to be hard with Gordon Tallis because of his position with the Titans, but those who have access to the media and whose opinions get out there quite quickly are the ones you'd be looking to change first, I would say.
The thing about it is that you can still bring Tallis back, even though he's part of the Titans. You can still do that. That's fine. You don't have to have him as a leadership position or... The Newcastle boys don't come back as coaches.
No. But once you're employed by another NRL club, conflict of interest is going to be there regardless.
Well, Adam, no. So I'm not saying that you.
So it's obviously when
for
Ben
example,
takes
the Newcastle
CEO
one,
job, all his capital's out the window.
I guarantee you, there's a Newcastle ex-player out there who's in the coaching ranks somewhere in another NRL club. They would still invite him up to that Old Boys Day. They would still put him in the box with the rest of the players. They would still let him. The Newcastle guys would do the guard of honour. All the ex-players do the guard of honour for the current players when they run out. That's all. That's all I'm asking. This right now, if you mention Gordon Tallis at the Broncos headquarters, you get spat at from what everyone's talking about. And that's not on for a former captain. You can't have that. It's just not going to work as far as storied history and all that kind of stuff. If he's involved in another club, that's fine, but invite him on the Old Boys Day. Let him be there as a support, not as an official.
Yeah, no. I mean? I'd see that. I still don't see why his employed club would give him, say, the day off to go help out another club, even if it's not in an official capacity.
Oh, I'd love to see. There's got to be someone out there who works for another club that's invited to. Okay. Best example: Matty Johns and Andrew Johns. Matty Johns is employed by Manly. Andrew Johns is employed by Roosters as a halves consultant. Newcastle, they both can still walk in the middle of Newcastle without paying a thing into the stadium.
Yeah, this is true.
So there's no reason why, for example, Gold Coast, who's employing Gordon Tallis on their board, shouldn't go, okay, mate, you've had, 15 years, you're an ex-captain of the Broncos, go spend the day there, that's fine. I don't think they're going to have a problem with that. The problem I have is that that's not happening. The Broncos aren't inviting ex-players. If they are, they're selecting ex-players. And what annoys me also is players are saying no to being invited.
Okay.
Which is that worries me about the Broncos culture, because if you're not considered, you're not given respect as an ex-player who's won, Tallis would have won 3 premierships with them, I believe. Something like that. So, yeah. You're currently on mute for some reason.
Yeah, I was going through my. I didn't want it to be loud.
Righto. Yeah, so I'm. That's what I'm worried about the Broncos. That's probably one of the biggest concerns there. That Bennett, that Eichen has got to bring back. That he's got to bring back not bring it back, but create that history and that respect for past players and past whatever.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That didn't come to me. Oh, no, we're actually pretty good. That's good. All right. I don't know how long we've been going. Probably way too long already. Yeah, but okay, signings. Warriors have snapped up Kane Evans and Ewan Aitken to start next season. Jared and I were talking before the show. These signings would most likely, well, more than most likely, would have been on the books before Nathan Brown's announcement, considering it was only a 4-day turnaround. Still probably not the strike centre he was looking for. Maybe not your middle forward either. I think he's looking more still along the lines of your Jack DeBellin, if possible. But good starts for the Warriors there. Bulldogs have held on to Adam Elliott. He said with the uncertainty of COVID around and his family in Sydney, he signed on for another 3 years despite a more lucrative offer elsewhere, although that team wasn't named.
Which is a good thing.
Good thing. Sharks, William Kennedy has signed a 1-year extension. And bad news for all the real big fellas out there. Shannon Boyd has announced his immediate retirement due to injury and has parted ways with the Titans. From what we understand, mutual consent. There hasn't been any details that we've seen yet with regards to his salary. He's still owed $600,000 for next season. Whether because it's a mutual separation, Titans will not have to pay it out, or though because it was already a injury concern known while signing him, so he pretty much started his Titans career injured. Whether the Titans are going to have any drama with the NRL with regards to his medical payout, we're not sure, so we're not going to speculate until more comes out. That's it on the signings front. Judiciary and injuries we're going to cover as we go through the team list, try and pull up a bit of time here. So, first game for round 14, not as packed with star power as we'd hope. To me, a grand final preview again. Roosters and the Storm, Thursday night at 7:50. And how we like doing these teams is so we can do our own. When does Newcastle play? 3.
Saturday.
Yeah, okay, I'll go myself. All right, so we got Roosters versus Storm, Sydney Cricket Ground, which is awesome. Roosters backline, Tedesco at fullback, Ryan Hall still without a try in the NRL. Matt Ikuvalu on the other wing. Josh Morris is back from injury in the centres with Joseph Manu. Luke Keary at 5'8", and Lachlan Lamb has been named for the second week in a row at halfback. So Kyle Flanagan still continuing his development. Lindsay Collins starting prop with CS Takiyaho, Jake Friend at hooker. Satili Topanua keeps the starting spot, albeit in the second row, not the centres, with Mitch Orbison in second row, Isaac Liu at lock. So still no Cordner. Drew Hutchinson, Puasa Famasuli, Nat Butcher and Daniel Fafita on the interchange. Reserves are Christian Tupelotu and Max Bailey. So Cole Flanagan was named in the 21, but has been cut for the 19. For the Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen back from his rest. Suiasi Vunivalu, Josh Addo-Carr on the wing. Tom Eisenhuth comes into their centre issue. Justin Olam in the centres as well, with Riley Jacks getting the nod at 5'8" to replace the injured Cameron Munster, partnering Jerome Hughes. In the forwards, Jesse Bromwich and Christian Welch start up front with Brandon Smith at hooker. Felice Kafusi, Kenny Bromwich after his blinder last week are in the second row, and Dale Finucane at lock. On the interchange, Nico Hines has retained his position in the squad, moving from fullback to the bench as utility back. Tino Fasamulawi on the bench, Albert Vite and Nelson Asafa Solomona with Sandor Earl.
That's a massive bench.
That's a massive bench. Sandor Earl and Branko Lee, so two covers there, outside backs. Would not be surprised to see Branko Lee come in for Tom Eisenhuth.
Who are you going?
Obviously, we're missing Warrior Hargraves, Boyd Cordner, Angus Crichton, Brett Morris, Daniel Tupou from the Roosters. We're missing Pappenhausen, Cameron Smith from the Storm. We'll have to say...
Pappenhausen's playing.
What did I say? No, Cameron Munster, sorry. And Cameron Smith, from the Storm. Look, Wally and I spoke, even once Munster went off last week, the Storm still ran in another 3 tries, including a cracker to finish the game. I don't even think we talked about that, how good that try was. A scrum 20 metres from their own line. Their first play is just to boot it downfield, and Addo-Carr chased it. It was fantastic. And Roosters, that's right, they played the Dragons. They still look pretty good, though, got to admit.
So who's your bet?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I went Roosters.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, I think. I hate it, but it comes down to the halves, and Keary beats out.
So with Munster, I think it'll be a lot harder.
Oh, Munster.
Let's put it that way.
That's how big a difference maker he is.
Yeah. All right. So the next game, there might be some points in this one, but with Heverington, it's Warriors versus Penrith. Heverington obviously got suspended for 4 weeks for that. Should have been a send-off high tackle. Yeah. But yeah, so they got Lachlan Burr up front with Carl Lawton and Tanua Brown, Tohu Harris and Alisi Katoa to Vega. That's going to be a good battle in the second row if Katoa's up against Kikau. And then you got Harris Tavita and Nikarima in the halves with Hiku, Pompey, Herbert, Jennings, and Tuivasa Sheck. With Wade Egan at 14, Adam Blair, Daniel Navarro, and Isaiah Papali. With Jack Murchie, Gerard Beale, Adam Kieran, and Josh Curran, ran out 21. At Penrith sides, you got Fisher Harris, Coruscant, and Tamo up front, with Liam Martin and Kickout in the second row, with Yo at lock. You got Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai, and Stephen Crichton. I'm going to stop saying Angus. My pick for the Dally M Rookie of the Year. Since Bradman Best got injured. Tyrone May in the centres. Well, Tyrone May in the centres. Has he been playing there for a few weeks?
Nope.
Okay. Nope. And then you got Brent Naden and Mansour with Caleb Aikens at fullback. And you got Dane Laurie, Spencer Leniu, Moses Leota, and Ted Ivano on the bench with Mitch Kenny, Dylan Edwards, Matt Burden, and Billy Burns. So Dylan Edwards has been named in the 19 jersey. That could be a late change. But Penrith could put a score on here. This will be very interesting.
If they do, this will be a club record for 9 wins in a row.
Yeah.
You can't bet against.
You got Penrith?
Warriors were impressive against Manly last week. even after Manly's comeback as well, they held out and they played a pretty solid game, even with 2 sin bins. So, yeah, no, I'll go on Penrith.
Henry?
I'm trying to think of who the other centre was last week. It wasn't Charlie Staines. It was
Brent Naden.
in the centre. Oh, it was Lesniak on the wing?
Yeah, Malachi.
That's right, yeah. All right, second game on Friday night. Remembering Dragons have to win all 6 to get into finals. So starting this week. They've got Parramatta, though, who still have not looked bang on, but they're doing what a good team does, and they're grinding out the wins even when they're...
I reckon it'd be interesting with Para because they started so well at the start of the season. It'd be interesting if this is their slump and they're going to go strong at the end.
Well, they've started well at the start of seasons and gone horrible.
Yeah, but
at the end, but they're not going horrible this year. They're still winning the games they would have lost last time.
It'll just kind of prove how good of a team they are if they can get out of this. And you got to call it a slump. I know they're still winning, but they're not dominating like they were. So yeah.
And last week's game, you can't read much into considering the conditions, and they were playing dry weather footy in a monsoon. It was freaking awesome to watch. Anyway, Parramatta, Clinton Gutherson at fullback with Sevo and Ferguson on the wings. Oh, God, Ferguson last week. So fun. Jennings and Blake in the centres with Dylan Brown, Mitch Moses. So their back line is back to... Not back to... It's at full strength. It was at full strength last week, I should say. Campbell Gillard and Junipola up front with Reid Money at hooker. Sean Lane, Ryan Madison and Nathan Brownie second row and lock. That's their strongest side. That 13 right there. And Madison's been out for 2 weeks. He's back on the interchange. Ray Stone, Murata Niokore, Kane Evans, Oregon Kafusi on the interchange. Dragons, Matt Duffy at fullback with Jordan Pereira and Ravalawa on the wings. Ewan Aitken and Zach Lomax in the centres. Corey Norman and Adam Clune in the halves. So while they'll be disappointed there, we both called for Saylor to start in the halves this week. Not going to happen. Blake Laurie starting prop with Josh Kerr. Paul Vaughan still out with his quarantine. Ben Hunt at hooker. Tyson Frizzell, Fui Mayono and Cam McInnes a second row and lock. Tristan Saylor on the bench with Cade Ellis, Corbin Sims and Jacob Host. Wally and I both agreed that, should be known that Braden Williami is on the reserves. Would not be surprised to see him come in for... I wouldn't be surprised Ewan Aitken, considering they know he's not going to be there next year and everything's up in the air. Wally and I would say, both annoyed that Tristan Saylor's not going to get a run towards the end of the season as you're starting 5'8". But anyway. Trent Merrin's out. Hence, Corbin Sims and Host on the bench. All right. It's for me. They've just more to play for. That I know Dragons have to win their last 6 to get in, but I still think Para have got more to play for, getting themselves set up for a run towards the end of the season.
Yeah. I don't see too much for St. George having a chance here, especially now that Para's back to full strength.
I just think for Dragons, it's just to continue that good form of Duffy and Lomax and try and build some more partnerships and combinations with Clune.
Yeah, they also saying that this will be McGregor's last game. They said that 6 weeks ago, so we'll see. Next game. So you're going Para?
Yeah.
All right. So next game is Titans versus Sharks. This could go either way. This one. All right.
Very big outsiders, the Titans on most betting markets.
All right. You got. For Cronulla, you've got Woods, Brayley, Hanlon, Ueli up front with Graham and Talakai. So they moved Talakai from, I know he did it last week, from centres to the second row, which I reckon.
He's been my sneaky fantasy player the last couple of weeks. Good points.
Yeah.
Good value.
And then you got probably the most, I wouldn't say underrated, but surprise pack in the NRL with Toby Rudolph at lock. Then you got Johnson, Moylan at 6 with Ramian and Dugan in the centres. Katoa, Mulatalo, and Kennedy in the back three. You got Connor Tracy, Scott Sorensen, Jack Williams, and Royce Hunt with Teague Wilton, Britton Nakora, Braden Trinidad, and Bryson Goodwin. For Gold Coast, you got Jolliffe, Peets, Fodawaker up front, with Hipgrave, Proctor, and Arrow in the back row. You got Jamal Fogarty, Ash Taylor, Dale Copley, Brian Kelly, Anthony Don, Philip Sammy, AJ Brimson, with Tanner Boyd, Tyrone Peachy, Jared Wallace, and Sam Lasoni, with Corey Thompson, Jai Whitbread, Tonema Pia, and Bo Thermal.
Tonema Pia's the big in there on the reserves. He hasn't been named for quite a number of weeks.
Yeah, so I've got Cronulla on this, but it'll be close.
Who would have thought after his season last year that Brighton Nakora would be dropped for form? It's the third week in a row he's been on the reserves, and he was outstanding for them last year.
But you got the bullet car in that Talakai. So
yeah, but they talent.
I will admit, I love Nakora. He is on the small side for a second roller.
But talent-wise, he outdoes anyone bar Graham in that forward pack. And he's got speed, strength, step, skill. Him on one side and Graham on the other side. Man, that's so much to think about. But I'm not the coach. AJ Brimson had a cracker of a full comeback last week. He got limited minutes the week before against the Roosters, but last week just showed what he's made out of. Oh, I agree. I think the Titans can win this. I'm going to say the Sharks because they're in that thick of things in the finals, and they played well last week against Parramatta. They actually arguably should have won with Johnson missing 3 kicks at goal and losing by 2 points. I'm going to go the Sharks. I think they've been looking good enough the last few weeks. But I'm not going to be surprised nor upset if the Titans get over.
I'll be happy if Titans win.
Yeah. If you're looking for a bit of sneaky money, they're paying about $3.80 in most markets compared to the Sharks $1 something. So, not a bad spot to have a look. Cowboys, goddamn, they looked horrible last week. But Michael Morgan will be better for the run, as I'm sure Drake Granville will be, even though he had a cracker off the bench. So Scott Drinkwater makes a comeback at fullback, pushing Haberdai Feedow to the wing, opposing Cole Felt. Tom Opachik and Connolly Lamelu are in the centres, with Ben Hampton and Michael Morgan, another halves combination there. Josh Maguire and Jordan McLean are your 2 props, with Reece Robson at hooker. Mitch Dunn, Cohen House, Tamalolo, second row on lock. Granville, Asiata, Pere, and Molo are on the interchange. SM Masters still riding the reserves train with Clifford Jensen and Shane Wright. Scott Drinkwater is still under a fitness cloud. He just has to pass his last train session with regards to his knee. Rabbitohs, Latrell Mitchell at fullback with Johnson and Paulo on the wings, Graham and Gagai in the centres, Walker and Reynolds. So no change from the back line from last week. Tavita Totola, Tom Burgess, Damien Cook, your front row. Jaden Sewer, Bailey Sirenen back row with Cam Murray at lock. Mark Nichols, Liam Wright, Patrick Margot, Keon Kolamatangi on the interchange, and no one on the reserves that we expect to come in. Yeah. I don't know. Cowboys can't be worse than they were last week.
I've tipped Cowboys.
Rabbitohs they win 28-10 last week.
Rabbitohs annoy me. They have all the potential in the world. Like, their back line is just
insane.
Yeah, but they're not playing to that standard, which annoys me. And their 4-pack's nothing to laugh at either. They're just not as good as they should be.
Nothing to laugh at.
No, well, I laugh at Manly's forward pack sometimes.
What are they? 28-10, they beat the Broncos. 32-24, they beat the Rabbits. They lost to Raiders. They lost to Knights. They beat Tigers. It's just inconsistency, eh?
Yeah, and they've got the team to beat all those players.
Yeah.
And it literally it annoys me so much because my tipping is horrible. I look at the team list and go, that team should beat this team.
Yeah, I'm going.
So that's why
I'm going Rabbits.
Rabbits? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first one. And when I see the Rabbits team, I say they should be beating a lot more teams than they are, which they're not, which is pissing me off.
Well, that's what I did with the Cowboys last week. Bloody hell. Off you go. Take this one, mate. Last game on Saturday night.
All right. So that'd be Canberra versus Broncos. This is just going to be... I don't use the word butt rape very often, but this could be what that's going to be. Okay, so...
Say it often if you say you don't say it very often.
No, whatever. It's not a regular word in my vocabulary. All right, so you got Dunamis, Louis, Havili, and Papali up front with Whitehead, Bateman, and Hudson Young at lock. And you got George Williams, not Sam Williams, with Whiten, Curtis Scott, Jared Croker, Rapana, Kotrick, and Nickel Clockstad, with Tom Starling at 14. I'm really rating this young fella. His highlights are pretty good. He's well built for a hooker position. You got Joseph Tarpany, Sutton, Harianara. And then you got Sam Williams, Oldfield, Kai O'Donnell, and Matt Frawley. So I'm going... Oh, yeah, sorry. The Broncos. Payne Haas, Jake Turbin, Thomas Flegler, Ben Teo, Fafita, and Carrigan. Look, that forward pack is still amazing. I really like that forward pack. And you got Dearden, Croft, Herbie Farnsworth, and Staggs in the centres with Kenner, Coates, and Boyd at fullback. You got Corey Pax, Jordan Ricky. Must be debutant. Don't know much about him. Offa Hengawi and Matt Lodge at 17. Matt Lodge has actually been ruled out for the season with a hairline fracture in his tibia. So I'm guessing either Ethan Bullimore, Reece Kennedy, Ethan Bullimore or Reece Kennedy come on to replace Matt Lodge. And the other two players are Isaac Luke and Jesse Arthurs.
That's kind of weird that hasn't updated because it usually would have. Yeah,
so Matt Lodge is out. I'm guessing Kennedy will come in over Bullimore. But yes, Canberra. I'm guessing you're tipping Canberra.
Yeah.
Because I've already written it down for you.
Yeah.
So,
I was just having a look at that St. George match from earlier. Tariq Sims, we talked about last week, has been ruled out for up to 6 weeks. So we said that he was getting an AC joint scan, but we didn't have the numbers on that yet.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue on.
There's not much. This whole podcast seems like we're talking about the Broncos. So with the drama happening to them and the current form they're in, I doubt they're going to be able to match Canberra.
Yeah.
So next game is
that's right.
Second biggest game of this podcast for the year.
I still haven't worn the bloody Newcastle jersey from last time.
Oh, okay. I got a story for everyone, by the way. So I will admit I've been pretty lazy in getting a Newcastle jersey to Adam. It's been pretty bad on my end. But in saying that too, Adam called me last Wednesday because where I live, Adam drives an hour north to go to work. Adam called me up and went, "Hey, can you put the Newcastle jersey in your mailbox? I live 2 minutes away from where he works. He'll pick it up on the way." Now, the important part of this story was Adam called me to say that. I had to go home from work at lunchtime because I left my lunch on the counter. Newcastle jersey was still in there. I was like, fair enough. He must be picking it up some other time, maybe in the afternoon. I get home at 5 and I'm like, it was like Adam, you finished at like 3:45 in the afternoon or something. 3 o'clock.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
There was something on.
So I get home at 5. Seems to be a Newcastle jersey in the mailbox.
That was a new one. I bought you a new one. I took the other one.
And I called him up, and Adam was going, "What do you want? Like, why are you calling me? The podcast was last night or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, we don't talk between podcasts. It's fine." I'm like, "Mate, where's the Newcastle jersey?" And he just went,
Oh, shit.
So I'd like to bring everyone back that Adam called me to organise this. So you want to explain yourself on that one?
Yeah, I was saying, like, instead of me picking it up, let's just go double or nothing.
And what does double mean?
That means I'll wear it for the rest of the season.
Done. Done.
We haven't shaken it. We haven't shook it yet.
No, that is done.
Honestly, what the team lists are.
Oh, no, you're in trouble.
Oh.
All right, I'll do this. Don't you worry. I got this covered.
Yeah, and what if Manly does win?
Nothing. You said double or nothing.
Yeah, that's right. You wear
nothing.
You wear it for the rest. Yeah, I love it.
I'll wear. Okay. All right. If Newcastle win because you didn't commit to wearing a Newcastle jersey the first time when we beat you,
I'll do it for 2 weeks.
No, you do it for the rest of the season because you said double or nothing. If Manly win this game, I'll wear it for 1 week because I'm not in debt.
That's brutal.
But
this on my old man memory.
You're not that much older.
What about the 2 days in a row that I asked you to Kalisha to bring it down to the coast and you forgot both times?
I admitted that I haven't been too great at this, but I did not call you.
And I was on holiday, so I could have come and got it off her at work any time of the day, but neither day.
Wait, hold up. I didn't call you the day of.
I messaged you the day of.
No, while you're driving towards the location. So you literally would have to drive past my home to get it.
It was on hands-free, by the way.
Yeah, hands-free. Okay, so the Manly team. You got the power up front.
You do your coal mining numpties.
You going?
No, you're first. You're the home team.
No. All right. Daniel Safidi comes back.
At fullback.
And then what?
Oh, no, you did the forwards first. That's right.
Yeah, Daniel Safidi comes back with Kurt Mann and David Clemmer up front. Then you got Aiden Guerra and Lachlan Fitzgibbon with Barnett at lock. Pierce and my favourite signing of the entire year, Blake Green is playing 5'8".
That's right.
If we had another,
plays inside and out.
If we had another 4 hours on this podcast, we could talk about that for a long time. But I missed my chance on Sunday night. With Shibasaki playing and Tuala in the centres with Stafford Toa, Hymel Hunt and Kalen Ponga. So we didn't actually touch on the 2 Newcastle guys who broke COVID, did we?
Oh, it never really.
Yeah, so Stafford. So quick recap: Stafford Toa and Simi Sasagi went to a football game, sat in their car, went and got a pie. NRL deemed that not bad, so they're fine. Then you got Phoenix Crossland, Jacob Safidi, SASA, and Josh King with Tex Hoy, Brody Jones, Chris Randall, and Mason Lino. Still don't know what Tex Hoy's done wrong, but it is what it is.
His son Blake Green. He's not going to get a run.
Yeah, but they've got a 5'8" at 14.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
He's got a try and debut last week.
That was his debut.
Crossland?
Nah, he debuted last year.
Oh, it's just his first try then. All right.
Yeah.
That's been one of your strongest teams in a while too.
Yep.
Damn it. All right.
Minus Bradman Best.
Manly superstar fullback Brendan Elliott with wingers George Tafua and Ruben Garrick with Brad Parker, the beast himself, and Moses Sully in the centres. Cade Cuss and Cherry Evans are there in the halves. In the forwards, Man Mountain, Taniela Paseka and Martin Tapau cleared HIA protocols. Danny Levi at hooker making his...
Talking about knowing his
Newcastle.
game inside and out.
And, man, this back row battle is going to be so good. Joel Thompson, Curtis Siren and Jake Trbojevic opposed Lachlan Fitzgibbon, Guerra and Barnett. That's going to be fun. You've got two hole runners on each side, Thompson and Siren and Fitzgibbon and Guerra run holes. And then you've got two locks. Trbojevich's ball playing ability before the line's damn good, but Barnett's got a really good offload in him and definitely a bit more aggression. So that's going to be such a good battle. And then on the interchange, Lachlan Croker, Corey Waddell, Sean Kepi, Amuli Olakatu. I'd say looking at the bench, like SASI, I guess, has got the most... I'm not even going to say X factor, but maybe aggression, I guess.
No, he's more X factor than aggression. He doesn't have much aggression.
He's just in really good form. In replacing his brother. Olakadu is quite good. I'm just going to wipe the interchange and look at the rest.
So okay, this is how I see this game. When they played last time, we talked about how it was such a good battle between Pearce and Cherry Evans. But one of the biggest things for that was the fact that Tapau and Adam Fanua-Blake was up against Clemmer and Safidi. Now you don't have Adam Fanua-Blake. You don't have Trbojevic. We have now Green, Safidi, Clemmer, and Ponga is potentially coming into a bit of form. So for that reason, and if I looked at this as not a Newcastle fan, I think we have the better team for that reason, better combinations, because you still have Cust, Levi, and you're losing Adam Fanua-Blake. Because we beat you without Trbojevic before, so I'm not going to throw him in there, but we've got Ponga, who's just a bit of further ahead than Brendan Elliott.
Oh,
that's the way I see it.
Just a touch.
Yeah, no, I was trying to be nice. But look, you might see it a different way, but I'm trying to look from this unbiased.
I'm looking at 2 to 4 on both. 2 to 4. 2 to 5 on both sides are a wash.
Well, I think Moses Sully is your biggest thing because we're pretty weak in the centres.
Yeah.
And I think Moses Sully's on your right. So he'll be marking up against Tuala. So that'll be a good battle, but I see Moses Sully kind of...
I think the 2 to 5 are a wash. Green over Cust. Wally said it actually before I did last week. Cherry Evans has still been playing damn well considering how bad we've been playing overall.
But look,
Ponga
the difference
over Elliott.
The difference is with Pearce and Cherry Evans, you'd put probably Cherry Evans a shade ahead of Pearce.
Yeah, in Green way above Cuss.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's got that Green. If he wasn't in there, it'd be better. It'd be worse than Newcastle. But yeah, so, well.
Yeah, I'm going to...
Are you on Manly, or do you want to win?
Well, I want Manly to win, so I'll tip the Knights.
Okay.
That's it's an exact science this year. Every time I've tipped against Manly, they've won. So, for everyone else listening, Manly.
So, we're only one different this entire tipping this week.
All right, and because I speak fast, last time. Oh, wait on. No, there's no one there.
Last one.
Yeah, so sorry, Tapau still has to pass protocols. That's another thing. Tigers and Bulldogs, mouth-watering clash to finish the weekend. Adam Dewey at fullback for the Tigers with Norfoluma and Talau on the wings. Leilua and Mbai in the centres. Bit of word around that Mbai has been shopped to the Titans with Tigers paying half his deal. That'll be interesting. Luke Brooks and Benji Marshall in the halves. Josh Aloi and Packer are starting props with Jacob Jacob Little at hooker.
Oh,
He
Jesus.
was there last week. He's back. Leilua and Luke Garner and Matt Eisenhuth are the second row and lock. With Thomas McKaylee, Josh Reynolds is back in the team. Sam McIntyre and Chris Lawrence on the interchange. For the Bulldogs, Nick Meaney, Dallin Zelezniak, Tim Laffey, Kerrod Holland, and Marcelo Montoya are your back five. Jake Averillo will miss a week based on that hip complaint. We were waiting on scans. Kieran Foran and Jack Cogger in the halves. So Lachlan Lewis, he's serving that suspension. Ovekdi Ogden, Sione Katoa, Dylan Napa, your front row. With Josh Jackson, Fatala Mariner in the second row. Luke Thompson at lock. Marshall King, Aidan Tolman, Suaso Sue, and Remius Smith are your interchange. Looking at both lots of reserves, there's a bunch of all 8 players have played for each team this year, except for Matt Dury for the Bulldogs. Who's to say who's actually going to come in and who's going to drop out? So I'm not going to go through all those.
I went Dogs on this one.
So this is Jacob Little's first game since his horror knee injury last year. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad he's back. It'd be interesting what happens. Is Grant back this year?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting what happens there. Because
no, it's not. He's obviously come straight back in.
Depends how Little plays. Who you going?
He'll come straight back in.
Who you going?
Well, I'm looking at this. This has got nothing to do with the teams, but West Tigers are aiming for 2 wins against the Bulldogs in the same season since 2005.
Jesus.
That's around 15 years. But on the other side, the Bulldogs have lost their last 4 games at Bankwest Stadium where they're playing.
I went Dogs. I just think they're going to come up with better than they did last week.
And I keep going the Tigers because I'm like, oh, yeah, they played pretty well last week. Hey, that's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, no, they've lost their last 3.
Yeah.
And Maguire doesn't have any more chairs and stuff to kick over. And the fact that Lachlan Lewis isn't there makes Bulldogs a better team. So, yeah, I didn't think I'd say this all season, but see, I'm starting to do what you do. I'm looking at the team going, how the fuck is the Bulldogs going to beat the Tigers?
Yeah, that's why I'm going Dogs. I've got to get that out of my system. But who you going?
Well, Dogs got belted last week, didn't they? 41-8.
Yep.
But Tigers belted 44-4.
Yep.
Technically, it's played better.
It is the shittest of the shittest coming back. But yeah. Come on, mate. You got to pick someone.
Oh, Tigers.
Okay.
God, this.
So, this is a big week for this podcast with Newcastle and Manly playing.
I haven't finished. Jesus.
Oh, sorry. No, not this week. I don't really have one.
All right, I'm going, because Broncos are I've gone a double. Charles Nickel-Clockstad to score a double, and there to be between 41 and 50 points in the match.
Okay.
Pay that $17.
Yeah, righto.
And we've got a new segment, guys. Jared doesn't know this. I'm about to do it anyway. It's called Golden Point. So this is where we're going to play a message sent in. We've got a new one here sent in. So we're going to have a listen and a response. Hey, Jared.
Hey, guys. Just wanted to gain some insight or your perspective on the notion of over-embellishing.
Can you hear it?
Nah, can't even hear it.
All right, I'm going to have to go again. Wait on.
Way too much of it in the one game.
Where is it here? Sorry, dudes. Just still trying to work out some of our technology because this is only new. Boom.
Hey, guys. Just wanted to gain some insight or your perspective on the notion of over-embellishing. I think it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. We're seeing way too much of it in the modern game. Clearly, players are coached to do it, whether it's the decoy running and, in defensive reads to sell that they were impeded, or the escort plays. It's becoming a bit of a joke. I don't think it's in the true spirit of the game. And, obviously players are coached to do it, so why aren't referees coached to penalise against it? What do you think there? Let me know. Be keen to get back to hard-nosed football. Cheers.
All right, so that one's sent in from Benny Taylor down Brisbane way. Embellishment. We covered this about a month or so ago with regards to the diving, and I 100% agree with Ben that players are definitely coached to do it. We talked about Ricky Stewart not wanting or trying to coach his players to take it over, stay down. The players reluctant. I don't know how much I can buy into the players reluctant, because they seem to do it quite a bit. Like Kickow fell over last week. I agree with. I think the refs need to be looking at being able to recognise what's an embellishment and what's not, because we were talking then it's got to get to a point where you're going to be bringing bloody biomechanics professors and stuff in to go, well, actually, if a player of this mass hits a player at that mass at this force, technically they're not actually going to be able to knock them far enough to have an impact in the play. Whereas we've got obstructions where a guy gets touched on the shoulder, he's 6 meters away, and the ref goes, was touched by the run-through runner or whatever it is, and diminished his chance to make a tackle. And he's like, dude, it's Jake Granville, and the guy's 6 meters away, and it's Stephen Crichton. He's not going to catch him. Like,
so
this is the overreaction from fans about obstruction 4 years ago, and now we've just got black and white. If you make contact, it's a no try.
So Adam, me and Adam talked about this about a month ago, and Adam did touch on it, and I'd like to see what Ben would come up with, because I know Ben is a big fan of American sports, so which embellishment in ice hockey is a legit rule, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that ice hockey? Yes. So that is the rule.
Ben's much more NFL basketball, but yes, he's aware of the embellishment.
So the embellishment rules in ice hockey, to be honest, I hate American sports, so I wouldn't be able to tell you too much about it. But for my perspective on that kind of stuff,
call ice hockey a North American sport. Canadians.
No, South American. Definitely South American. I don't know, but for me, it's hard to determine which ones are which. I know there's the super obvious ones, which, like you said, taps on the shoulder, and the turf monster gets hold of them. That happens a fair amount. But then the really contentious ones,
I think Ben's asking for common sense. Like,
which is legitimate. Like, you obviously can ask for, and like he said, he wants hard-nosed football again. But the problem is because there is those block players constantly. Like, that's how, like, if you train a rugby league team, that would be like legit first thing you teach them at the first training session. Okay, we're going to do a block play. You get used to this. We're going to do it 4,000 times this year. With that in the game so much that if you run on the wrong shoulder compared to the guy behind you actually catching the ball, the defensive team are completely justified in the rules to do it. And I believe the only way you can get rid of it is completely get rid of the block play overall, because that way it rules that out completely, doesn't it?
Well, no, because I think he also said, just with regards to embellishment, even on the when a bomb's put up and the attacking player's running through, and they get like a bump on the shoulder, I reckon what you could do is get rid of escorts completely in a kick, and just
which I wouldn't be mad about.
2-on-1, 3-on-1, I don't care, as long as everyone's jumping for the ball. Everyone else has to clear out the way, and just let everyone
which is
trying to go through. That's an easy fix.
To get rid of embellishment completely in rugby league, there's two options. There's get rid of the block and the escort, and then embellishment goes out the window as far as that. Another way is if they determine that a player has legitimately embellished, and I don't know how they're going to determine this. We talked about it as a 5-minute sin bin, which will knock it out of the thing real quick.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to do that because that's looking at player integrity, and you there's no rule book for that.
Exactly, and that's where the biggest grey area in this conversation is. Until you can determine what kind of embellishment it was and how far they went, if it's legitimate, and there's a measuring stick on how to determine that, it's going to be very hard to enforce this rule.
I think we can get rid of escorts on kicks, which is great. I think what we're talking about now is the complete opposite end of what we were complaining about 4 years ago as fans, with every try being sent up for an obstruction and what was and what wasn't an obstruction, rah. Yeah. So then they just made it black and white. Any impact, rah, is a non-try. I think they just find that middle ground and be like, yes, the lead runner did make contact with the defender. However, due to the distance of freaking 6 meters and the fact that he's 1 meter out from the try line, we do not believe he would have been able to get there to make the tackle.
Yeah, so
that's the common sense middle ground.
Yeah, so I 100% agree with Ben, but I would like him to come back and find ways to stop it.
I think that's what I was saying for, Jared. That's the point.
Yes, but what does he think would be a way to stop it? I just gave you 2 reasons, 2 ways to stop it. Get rid of escorts and blocks.
Jared's doing the good old media. He's doing the good old coach press conference thing. He's throwing it right back at you.
Yeah. Well, no, but honestly, we can get him on the podcast.
If you want to,
and he can explain the embellishment.
If you want to feature in our Golden Point part of the show, shoot us in a voice message or shoot us through a tweet at 6 Again Pod on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram, and we'll get through your questions or your voice messages when we can. Another big show. Jared's back. We had to cover all the Broncos stuff. Apologise for that. We'll get back to our shorter shows on Sunday if everyone behaves themselves. Otherwise, good luck to your teams on the weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday morning.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to 6 Again. Connect with the show on Twitter, Instagram, and the 6 Again website. All links via the show's bio. Be sure to check out Adam's craft beer choice of the week.